Welcome back to the Actors Bow podcast for season 2. I know, what is going on? What happened? Where have I been? What am I doing here? Last time I did an episode for the Actors Bow was almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Let's see. The last episode I did for the Actors Bow was More Auditions and Fab Revs with Brian Pataka. And that was in April 13th, 2022. Okay, it's been a year and a half. Not that bad. But I just disappeared. I disappeared and I owe you an apology. And I have good reason for it. There has been a lot of drama, pun intended, going on in my life. There's been a lot of personal stuff that I'm not going to get into and a lot of fun professional stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And I am just happy to be back. I think a big part of it has been working on my mental health and working on myself and figuring out all the things that I need to show up as the best self for you and for me. I think it's very important as artists that we put work out there, that we do not overthink things, that we just do it. I'm a big advocate for that, but I'm also a big advocate to putting your best foot forward. And also, if you don't have your cup full, you cannot give to others. So there's a balance to that. We have found it. We are here. We are back, baby. Season 2 of the Actors Bow podcast. So today I thought that we would catch up. We would have one of our talks that we used to have over tea and cookies. I have my new Shakespeare mug. You're probably like, Denise, this looks more like Sweeney Todd than Shakespeare. For those of you who are listening to this and not watching, this is a cup that has dripping blood from every side of it. But this is Shakespeare, okay? This is, dare I say it, Macbeth. This is a Macbeth cup I got in London, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But what have I been up to this past year and a half? A big part of my life has been the Actors Bow Coaching Program. As you guys know, I have an online acting school that is available all over the world, and I've been so busy being the coach there, and it's been an amazing experience. When I started this podcast 4 years ago, that's crazy. 4 years ago, I never knew that I would end up teaching acting, that I would end up having my own acting school, that I would still be running it 2 years later. This is all very unexpected, and it's been the most beautiful and amazing surprise. I've met the most talented people, the most wonderful human beings. I've taught more than 250 students from all over the world. I have students from Europe, from Asia, from Australia. I've had students from all over the place, and it is such an honor to get to teach them, but it's absolutely such a big part of my time because I, as I said, want to give the best to them. A lot of these students make me so proud all the time. They started from zero in my classes and now they are starting. I'm getting a phone call. What is going on? My car is going to be at the mechanic all weekend. Just got the news. This sucks. Anyway, let's continue with the episode. What was I talking about? I was talking about the Actors Bow Coaching Program and my students and how awesome they are. A lot of them are now in acting schools here in the US. A lot of them moved to, from Europe to the US through the program. Like, a lot of them have been doing amazing things. They started auditioning. They started self-submitting. Some of them have agents now, which I am so proud of them. It's awesome. It's very rewarding to, get to know you guys, to get to see you grow, get to see where you started and where you're at now. Some of the students have been in the program for 2 years. Some of them spend there just a few months, and no matter what, it's always an incredible experience to get to know you. So yeah, if you're thinking about learning acting or starting acting, or you've already taken a few acting classes and you want to keep learning, I would love to have you in the program. We also had the in-person masterclass in Los Angeles, which was also such a crazy, weird, surreal experience in the most beautiful way. We ended up having an in-person masterclass because a lot of you had been saying, well, we love the online classes or we love the online content and TikTok and everything, but is there something in person, right? For those of you who live in LA or close to Los Angeles, or those of you who wanted to travel to Los Angeles and learn some acting. And we made it happen. We did it last summer. We had a whole weekend, 3-day intensive. It was every day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Trust me, that is crazy because we did not stop. We only had a little lunch break every day. We had 14 students fly from all over the world. We had people from New York, from the UK, from Venezuela. It was such an honor to get to meet you and to be in person. And doing all this work in person, I love teaching online, and I think there is a way to do it, and I think you can absolutely learn so much, but there is nothing like being in front of someone, like being able to actually look at them in the eye and do the work that we all love to do. So hopefully the in-person masterclass happens again next summer. I would also love to have you there. And now, I should have said this earlier, but this was intended to be a solo cast, as I said, because I've been gone for so long and I just wanted to catch up with you. But I do have some very special guests today that are coming. They're not here yet. They're having breakfast right now. But once they are ready, they will head here, and I'm very excited for you guys to meet them. But now, I have some personal news that I wanted to share with you. Drum rolls, please. I signed with a manager. I am so excited. It's not the first time that I have representation as an actress. It is not. But I, at some point, a year and a half ago, probably when I stopped doing the podcast, decided that I'd rather have no representation and self-submit myself and do my own thing than be working with someone that is not working, that we're not connecting, that I don't feel 100% supported, and someone that doesn't 100% believe in me. I think a lot of times as actors, we put so much pressure and so much importance in, I have to have representation, that we just take the first person that comes. And like any relationship, that's never the way to go. Your relationship with an agent or a manager, it is business, but also it is personal. And as an artist, you want someone who will believe in you, who will fight for you, who will do the work outside of the work that they're supposed to do, right? The same way that you do. And of course, you're never going to find someone who works as hard for yourself as you do. Hopefully, because hopefully you are putting in the work and you're putting in all those hours, and you're not just dreaming about the dream. But it takes time. It takes time to find a good person. And I finally did this June. It took me all this time to find someone that I connected with. I got managers, I got agents that wanted to work with me. I ended up meeting with them, and I wasn't 100% sure about them. Finally, in June, I got two very incredible manager options, two management agencies here in Los Angeles, and I got to meet with both of them, and it was such a hard decision to make. You're gonna be like, oh, Denise, come on, stop. What a hard time to have to decide between two great managers. I know, but it was hard. I was like, it was one of those things that you have two great choices, and in the end just had to make it. And I'm very happy that I did. Unfortunately, 2 weeks after I signed with them, the strike happened. Supporting the strike 100%, supporting SAG-AFTRA. They're doing an incredible job. If you live in Los Angeles or New York and you can go to the picket lines and support them, do it 100%. Even if you're not part of SAG-AFTRA, you can go and support. And if you someday want to be part of SAG-AFTRA, you absolutely should be doing that. If you love the arts, if you support artists, just go do it. Go support the strike. But anyway, I haven't been able to audition for a lot of stuff since getting my manager, but we've also been working on my content creation and social media and all that stuff, so that's been a lot of fun. Another thing that I've been up to this past year and a half has been, and I would say is the best thing that I've done this past year and a half, joining the Ivana Chhabuk acting studio. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ivana Chhabuk, but I have talked about her book here in the podcast way, like when the podcast started, way before I joined the studio. Ivana wrote The Power of the Actor. I know a lot of you are familiar with that book. It is a staple for especially on-camera acting. She is an incredible coach. She works with a lot of celebrities here in Hollywood. She has helped a lot of the actors that you love get to the place where they are now. And I had been wanting to join the studio for so long. And the reason why I hadn't is because I had imposter syndrome. I honestly, the moment I arrived to Los Angeles, I was like, well, I just graduated from my acting degree, so maybe I'll take a few months and then I'll join a class. And you might ask yourself, well, why do you want to take classes if you just got an acting degree and you're already working as a professional actress? Guys, if you want to be an actor, you're always gonna keep learning, always keep yourself on your toes, keep yourself fresh, keep working, keep doing classes. It's not about, well, I already know how to act, so I don't need to take classes. Acting is like being an athlete. Athletes, they're amazing, right? They keep winning championships, but they do because they're consistent with it, because they go to the gym, because they train daily, because they keep their head in the game. As an actor, you want to do the same thing. Going to an acting class is your acting gym. So anyway, I decided after a few months, I was like, well, I could join now. But then I got imposter syndrome and I was like, oh my God, I'm like so nervous. Like, what if, I'm like not good enough? What if like I go, all these thoughts, and the pandemic came, then this happened, then more excuses, more things. Finally, last December of 2022, I was like, this is it. This is it. I am joining. I'm going to do it. I sent the email, I sent them my resume and all my information, and I made it to classes. And the reason why I say it's the best thing that I've ever done is because I'm loving the classes. I'm loving the coach. I'm working with Claire Chubbuck, which is Ivana's daughter. I have met the most amazing people. I feel so inspired working around all those talented artists. I think that other than classes being your acting gym, a reason why you should 100% take acting classes when you are an actor constantly is the people that you get to meet in class, because I'm meeting the most amazing creatives, people that are like-minded with me, people that want to create things like I do, that want to write their own projects, that want to do plays, that we support each other, trying to find representation, trying to find roles. When we find a casting call that matches the other person, you send it to the other. It is an incredible community. That is something that I really wanted to establish in my online acting school too. That was one of the bases that I wanted to have for it, because I think that technique and acting classes are great. But as an actor, one of the things that a lot of us lack is community and support. A lot of us might not have a family that support us or friends that understand what we do, right? Like they might be supportive of you, but they don't really understand what you go through or what you do because they haven't been through it, and that's totally fine. So having that community of people that are like you, that are going through the same struggles as you, that are having the same fears as you, the same thoughts, doubting themselves, it's an awesome experience. And so I love being in those classes, and I think it's helped me so much so far in my acting career. I find myself more excited. I think it's very important every week, because as actors, although I am auditioning weekly and although I'm doing self-tapes weekly, it is not the same as performing in front of a live audience, right? Which would be a class. And also working on some good material, because a lot of auditions that we do, let's be honest, they're not the best writing. They're not the best material. And so keep doing the good work and keep working on deep things, the things that you want to work in. I don't know if you guys believe in manifestation or so, but I do think that if you're working on being what you want to do and being who you want to be, you're kind of manifesting in a way that that's what you're going to be doing. So if you're working on those complex characters, on those layered performances, then when the time comes, you're going to be able to be like, okay, I've done this, right? Like I've done this in class. I've done something similar. I just literally did that last week. So I can do this for this audition or for this job that I just got. So anyway, it's been awesome. I am hoping to talk about it a little bit more, hopefully having some of the people here in the podcast so you guys can also hear about the experiences and what it is to work there. Our special guests are approaching, but before they come, I wanted to tell you the last thing that I did that has been real exciting for me, which was going to London this summer. I got invited through my TikTok and through the podcast and the Actors Bajo in general to the British Academy of Screen and Stage Combat workshop in London. Every year they do this workshop where it's 2 weeks of intensive. And when I say intensive, guys, I'm telling you, I thought I was gonna die. I thought that I was someone who was in shape. I am someone who works out. I do my daily Pilates, I do my yoga, I take my walks, I try to do my 10,000 steps a day. I was not prepared for that, what that was. I arrived to London. I gave myself a weekend for the jet lag. I gave myself 3 days to visit London, to do my thing. Then on Monday, we started class. I don't think the physical pain my body was in was the most of it. I just honestly felt like I was just a zombie walking. and I don't want to discourage you from taking this course. It was so much fun and it was amazing. I took the advanced course of it, which was small sword and knife. If you guys don't know what small sword is, it's kind of the last evolution of the sword. It's similar to the épée of, so you have the broadsword, which is like the medieval one, which is the thickest one. And then it kind of keeps evolving through history into something smaller and thinner. So that is what the small sword is. And the knife, everybody knows knife, right? Like the kitchen knife, but in fighting. So that was a lot of fun. You do 2 weeks of intensive, and then at the end of it, the fight master, or how do they call it in London? I don't remember. The terminology between the Society of American Fight Directors and the BASSC is a little bit different. But anyway, the fight master that we call it here in America comes, and then you do the test, and then you pass or you do not pass, and then there's two options. You can pass with like a basic pass, like they call it in America, or a recommended, like they say here. In the UK, they say distinguished, which I like it a little bit more. I thought it was very British, and I did end up getting a distinction in small sword. Claps all around, and I was very proud of myself because 3 days before the test, I started getting sick. And when I say sick, is if I already thought I was dying, then I was like, I don't think I'm getting through this. I was in bed. I thought I had fever. I don't know what was going on. A lot of people started getting sick, and I was like, I think there's something being passed around. Very irresponsible of me and of everyone to not get tested, but we went with fever. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna pass out. I did the test and still got a distinction. And then the next day my flight was leaving, so I just took the flight. And on the flight, I was feeling even worse. I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? I was like, maybe I'm just tired, like maybe I'm just exhausted. Lies. I get to Los Angeles and I have COVID. I hadn't gotten COVID before. I got COVID during the pandemic. Lie. Just for like a week, but it barely hit me. It was like totally fine. I just quarantined at home and it was fine. But then I hadn't gotten sick. I hadn't gotten anything until this. And then I was like, oh no, well, this is what happened. Oh no, this is terrible. I felt so bad that I did that whole thing with COVID. But then I quarantined and everything was fine and I stayed at home and here we are now. Anyway, London was awesome, not just because we did the combat workshop, but also because I had a weekend in between. It was 2 weeks and there was a weekend in between in which I got to go to London and experience all the fun in it. I saw 3 different plays. I went crazy. Originally, I was just going to go to the Globe because I had never been to the Globe. This was my 3rd time in London ever, but it was my first time in London as a full-on adult and by myself. Before I had gone with my family and I was a teenager and a child. Very different. I had never been to the Globe, and if you guys know me, I am a big fan of Shakespeare, so I was like, I need to make this happen. This was happening. And then I saw that they were doing the Scottish play with the Scottish king, aka Macbeth. I'm gonna say it because we're not in a theater, but I was like so excited because it's one of my favorite plays, and I was like, yes, we're gonna go. And so we went to the Globe, and 2 things. One, I was widely disappointed, which then I found out that most people know that the Globe is not the best place to go see Shakespeare. Obviously, the best place to go see Shakespeare is the Royal Shakespeare, but I did not know. You would think that the Globe, that is this emblematic Shakespeare building, would have the best Shakespeare, right? Lies. No, lies. It depends. Apparently it depends. Some productions are good, some productions are not, and unfortunately I didn't get the best out of it. It was still very epic to be in there. Honestly, I teared up as I entered the building. I was like, God, I've been waiting for this my entire life. Like, I'm tearing up now thinking about it. Oh my gosh. But the play in itself, I was just, it was meh. And honestly, when it comes to acting, when it comes to art, if it's just like meh, it's not good. It's either mind-blowing or it just isn't, and get out of my face. But the other thing that happened is I obviously did not want to say the word in the theater, especially in the Globe. And I'm in the shop and I'm trying to find something to buy, and I couldn't find anything of the play. They had like so many things like Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, and I was like, okay, well, I'm trying to find something of I almost said it. I almost died. I almost have to go outside of the theater and run and spit and knock on the door and all the things that you have to do if you say the word. Anyway, I ended up finding this cup, and it's a lot of fun, and it has the quote inside, "Out damn spot, out I say," by Lady M. And I loved it. I love getting it. Now I have my tea every morning with the blood of Lady M, and I love it. It's so dramatic. Anyway, the Globe was amazing. And then I was in London and I was looking at all the musicals that they're doing. And if you know something else about myself, is that I'm a big Hamilton fan. I've seen Hamilton in New York with some of the original cast. I saw Hamilton in Los Angeles when the touring company was here, and Hamilton is in London, if you guys don't know. And I was like, well, let's just check the prices. Why not? When I saw the prices of orchestra in London, I was like, I think it would be a sin if I don't go see it in orchestra. Fourth row orchestra was way cheaper than rear mezzanine on Broadway, guys. So I was like, I just did it. I impulsively bought tickets to Hamilton and I went and it was amazing. I have to say, it was a little strange to see Hamilton in London because if you guys know Hamilton, it's a very American play that mocks, the British a little bit. Also, the actor who played Air Burr slipped his British accent once in a while. The whole beginning of the musical, how does a bastard orphan son, all that whole thing. He had a few moments with the British accent, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? I felt like I was in the multiverse in which Hamilton finally was British, and it was this weird thing. I was like, is King George going to speak in an American accent? That would have been trippy. He did not. King George was incredible and everybody laughed a lot. I have to say that the British audience did not laugh half as much as the American audience did, but it was still a lot of fun. It was awesome. There were a lot of talented performance and I really enjoyed it. It was awesome. And then I saw Les Mis. My parents visited for 2 days in London. As you guys might not know, my parents live in Spain because I am originally from Spain, and because I was in London they decided to visit for a couple of days because the good thing about living in Europe is that airplanes are so cheap once you're in there. So they just came. We did Les Mis. It was my mom's birthday. It was my birthday present to her. Les Mis is a classic. I had seen it also on Broadway, but it was very differently done in the UK, in London. I enjoyed it. The performances were incredible. The set was so cool. Javert always steals the show. I don't know why. Every production that I've seen of Les Mis, Javert always steals the show, and it was awesome. That was it. Those are the 3 plays that I did. The other thing that I did in London that I 100% recommend if you guys ever go to London is going to High Tea. I went to High Tea. What was the name of the place? Well, I completely forgot. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I went to High Tea and it was a lot of fun, and they give you these little cookies and sandwiches and tea, and it is fancy. It's very fancy, and you gotta treat yourself and you feel like you are in what's the show, Bridgerton or something like that. I don't know. It was cool. It was really cool, so I definitely recommend it. I wanted to tell you guys about the funniest thing that happened to me while I was in London. So the night that I went to see Hamilton, we decided to go for drinks after. So I went to this very cool, very fancy speakeasy place. They have this I had a truffle martini. Just to understand how fancy this place was, one of the best drinks I've ever had. And it came in this martini glass, and then they came with this bottle that looked like perfume. I'm like, are they about to spray perfume on my martini? And they did, but it wasn't perfume. It was some essence of truffle, and they just started spraying my martini, and I was like, what is happening? Very fancy. Anyway, the bartender who's serving us this fancy cocktail is like, oh, how's your night going? And I'm like, it's amazing. We just saw Hamilton. And he goes, oh, that's awesome. I didn't know he was here. I'm like, yeah, it's been in London for a while. And he's like, oh, I saw him years ago. And by this point, I should have something in my head should have clicked and been like, why is he calling Hamilton he, right? But I just continue with it. I'm like, oh, you saw Hamilton? He was like, yeah, it was amazing. It was so much fun. I saw Hamilton in Monaco or something like that. I'm like, unless Lin-Manuel Miranda has pulled some weird shit that I've never heard about, Hamilton has never been in Monaco. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And as he's continuing to talk about how great Hamilton is, but he's not saying anything that would not fit the musical, mind you. In my mind, I'm like, does this guy think that I'm talking about Hamilton, the Formula One driver? I know nothing of Formula One. I know that there is someone called Hamilton, though. And I was like, oh no, this is embarrassing. I didn't want to say no, we've been talking about the wrong thing the whole time. So I just continued. And I was like, yeah, very cool, very cool. And then he just went away. I was like, oh no. And so then I have to go to the restroom. And I go to the bartender. I'm like, excuse me, could you tell me where the restroom is? And he's like, of course, I'll bring you there because it's a little complicated. Weird. So I keep walking and walking behind him, and as I'm walking he's like, so are you from Monaco? I'm like, no, I'm from Spain, but I live in Los Angeles. And he's like, oh, okay, great. Do you often go to see Formula One? at that point, it was so embarrassing because we were into this like mess for so long. I was like, no, not really. And I just went to the bathroom and went pee, and that was all of it. But I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, how does someone say we just went to see Hamilton and their mind goes to Formula? I was so confused. Anyway, the time has come, guys. Our special guests are ready. Please put your hands together. Raise the volume of your headphones because we are about to welcome the best guest that this podcast is ever going to have. Everyone, please welcome to the Actor's Bow, Chewy and Ghosty the Piggies. Our guest today is a little shy, so please have patience. But Chewy, hi, how are you? How's it going? Say hello, please. Say hello, Chewy. Okay, he's saying hi, but in his mind. He is very excited to be here. He is a superstar, and actually, he has been joining the Actors Wow Coaching Program and has been practicing acting. Are you guys ready? Chewy wanted to show you his acting skills. Ready? Chewy, show them your shocked face. He's shocked, guys. He is so shocked. Academy Award for Chewy. This is Chewy. He's awesome. He's my guinea pig. He got me through the pandemic. And for those of you who are only listening, you can't see this cuteness, but I recommend that you go to YouTube or my socials to see how cute he is. The next guest is Ghosty. He is way more talkative than Chewy, and he also wanted to say hi. He has very strong opinions on acting. He has also been joining the Actors Wow Coaching Program. And Ghosty, since you're here, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on method acting? Very strong opinions. I think he'd rather not say anything because he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Anyway, thank you for being here, Ghosty. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I go, I wanted to tell you my latest endeavor, which is I am co-directing, co-producing, and starring in a short. It is a long short. It's a 30-minute short. But anyway, I don't want to tell you much about it because what I want to do is guide you through the whole process. Right now we are in pre-production. We are set to start shooting in December, and we want to, take it to festivals and do the whole short film thingy. I think it would be awesome to, bring my partner who we're working on this with and talk about the process. I would love to talk about the pre-production and the process of actually, writing and doing your own short film and all the things that it involved, right? Like looking for a DP, being on set, all the challenges you encounter, and then, the marketing for it and all those things. And for all those of you who, want to be filmmakers and writers, I think you could get a lot of knowledge out of it. So this month we are going to have as a guest the person who wrote the short and who's co-directing and co-producing this with me. And we're going to be talking all about the pre-production of the film. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be back. So long for this year and a half. There were so many times that I was looking at my mic and I was staring at it and I just wanted to talk. Some days it was like 3 a.m. and I was in bed and I would think of my mic and I would be like, oh my gosh, I just got this idea for this episode. But then I was like, no, because I am not ready to be consistent with it. But now I am. I am back. And I'm not leaving. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for what season 2 of the Actors Wow podcast is going to bring. Go be the superstar that you are. And I will see you next Wednesday with our first official guest in the Actors Wow podcast season 2.